Good evening, everyone. It's 5:15 UK time, 6:15 Central European time, and we're here for something we don't think we've ever really talked about before, a revamped version of the song which has just been released. And it's the one that everyone has been, I guess, eagerly wanting to see what they would do. It's Malta. So as we know, Malta are sending Miriam content with the song Can't, or it was, until the EBU said, no, can't send that, sounds too much like something else, and we don't want to deal with that. So they got told to change it. So now she is serving just that. The song has been retitled Serving. The music video with the new version has just dropped. As you can see, I've got Michelle and Tom with me here to dissect it all. So let's start with Tom. She's changed the song to an extent. Has this revamp worked in her favour?
It kind of has, hasn't it? Let's face it. This is the Latvia 2022 repeat, isn't it? Because basically, what's going to happen is the crowd are going to sing it, and that basically means what will happen is someone's going to come on stage beforehand, whip the crowd into a frenzy, and go, "We want loads of whooping and cheering and cheering and whooping," because during the performance, they're going to pump that through to make sure the broadcasters don't actually broadcast it. Come on, it's an old trick. There wasn't too much she could do with it 4 days before the thing, but I mean, essentially now she's kind of serving heavy breathing, literally. Anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this is done, really, isn't it?
Yeah, Michelle, I was coming to you because obviously, as we spoke about last month when Miriam and won, the whole thing for us was that it was centered around that one word and the diversity and like the impact that gave it. Has the impact now been impacted? I think that's how you say that, with the subtraction of, say, the word cat.
No, everybody knows what she was going to say, and I think whether you leave the word in or not, I don't think it makes any difference. As you say, everyone's just going to shout it. They're going to try and tone it down, but I mean, you're still going to hear it a bit. But I don't think the impact's been taken away at all. In fact, the whole furore about this, they've had massive amount of free publicity. Everybody knows. Everybody's got an opinion. People either love it or they hate it. And now that the words had to be removed, people are losing their mind over that. They were losing their mind over the fact that the word was in there. You can't please anybody at any point whatsoever during Eurovision. And I just think, it's probably more impactful now because everyone knows that word's been removed. Whereas if you just would have just left it, it would have died down.
Okay, I can see some comments as well saying that the BBC have apparently said it wasn't them that have caused this, because it was said for the longest time that the BBC submitted a complaint, and it was said on air that Scott Mills did say he can't even talk or discuss the song due to it sounding like something else, and that was the big thing, that it did sound like another word in the English diction. I think that's people not wanting to take the blame, not wanting the pitchforks at their door, personally, because it had to come from somewhere. So... And the EBU have stated that it was initially approved, and Miriam said that as well. So I don't think it matters. It's changed. They've moved forward with it. But I do agree with Michelle. When you've got people like Erika Wiekman and all the other artists using your soundbite in their social media to push it forward, you're kind of doing something right, and you've got that focus already on you. And what has Malta always struggled with? A televote. So if you can get something whipped up beforehand, half your job's done. And we know Miriam can sing, and we know she will do well. My main thing...
I was going to say, Elliot, just to come back on something you said, I don't want to kind of, be too much about Erika, but of course she's going to push that sound thing. She would much prefer it if serving came too soon.
I mean... Not wrong, and I just derailed me. Thank you. My main issue with is because the way that word was said and performed, and even in the track, it's quite harsh, it's quite punchy. Removing it and saying that sort of like breathy, airy sound, sonically, it's a bit like, oh, you should have just had like a more powerful drop. Personally, for me, it should have just gone boom or something. I don't think the hit part was needed. Really, I think you could have just had it. And that's my main thing. I mean, Is she going to do everything she can on stage? Yes. Will she bring the gym balls? Probably, because they were in the music video again. So I'm always hopeful for Malta. I always want them to do well. Yes, I'm still not over that televote result for Jimocas because I wanted that to win that year. I'm furious. But as we said, the last few years, if you've got a following on TikTok going into the contest, you tend to do well. Kalia, Babe Lasagna, you know, I don't see many people talking about Erica and that in that sort of sense in social media, but everyone is talking about Miliana, and I think that's a big thing. So as we know, she is in semi-final 2, which has now been completed today with the addition of Georgia out of nowhere. Do we think this is qualifying? Are we still saying this is going through to the final, Michelle?
Yeah, definite quali. With the fan base behind her, I think she's definitely going to go through. I think what will harm her in the final will be, oh my God, I can't think, what's the word? Not the public, the juries. Oh my goodness, yeah. A 50-year-old woman, this happens all the time. I think what'll harm her in the final is the juries. I think the juries will just kill this dead.
And Tom, did you share the same sentiment? Do you see this in the final, and how do you see this actually panning out for her?
I mean, let's face it, the telebases are going to send this one through, aren't they? Obviously. I mean, especially, let's face it, they've got the UK voting through, and let's face it, the UK is far less conservative than the UK media. The Irish voting for it, and let's face it, the Irish public are also less conservative than the Irish media, along with a lot of other countries who, quite frankly, are going to lap it up. Is it going to win its semi-final? Probably not. However, what it is going to do, it's going to go through. It's going to go through to the final, and then it's probably going to be slaughtered from limb to limb by the juries. And I'll be honest, televote-wise in that final, coming up against some of those other songs which are along similar vibes, if they qualify, it's probably going to get slightly lost. But that, another thing for another day.
Yeah, I do think this is qualifying. Unfortunately, I do disagree with Lee in the final. I do not see this as a top 10 in the juries. Not when you've got JJ, Clavdia, you know, all these other very strong songs. I mean, like Austria is a potential winner. Cyprus is very strong. Greece is very strong. You know, I don't see where this could really fall. And I do think if she gets drawn first half of the final, she's opening the final. They'll use it. Right, boom, get it out the way. Done. Move on with the rest of the show. And she's proven she can open the show well because she opened the national final, did a very good job of it. So it's like, right, boom, there you go, move on. we run along very, very quickly. I think in the final, if she is to make it, and I do think she will be there, she will be around 14th. You know, because I do think the public will bump it, but I agree with you too. The juries will respect her vocals to an extent, but it'll be in the middle of like 2 and 3, like 8th and 9th. It won't be like a 12 or a 10. I don't see it for her, sadly. As good as she is, she's going against some very, very strong singers. And that's just the reality of a composition.
I think the thing is as well, let's face it, she's made it basically a novelty song, hasn't she? The same with Erica, and the same with Australia. This is a novelty song. And the same with Sweden. And let's face it, if you were to ever suggest that maybe there was a novelty song the juries were going to pick out, it would be the lovely, cuddly, family-friendly one. And that would probably be the one of choice. And then the others will get left behind.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The juries are just going to kill this dead. And that's because that's what they do. They don't, you know, they want this to be serious. They don't want people messing about and having all this argument about songs and words, and they just want an easy job. And this is not an easy job for them. They're just going to ignore it.
No, I'd love to be a Eurovision juror. I also don't want to because I don't need my opinion being slaughtered limb from limb for the entirety of the continent. It's like, it's how I feel, leave me alone. But that is serving, formerly known as Kant. We will see in nearly 2 months' time now how she'll get on, because it's the 15th of May she's competing. So it's not long, just 2 months to go, guys. But that was our very quick reaction to the Malta revamp. Make sure you join us tomorrow evening, roughly around 9 p.m. UK time, because the very last song of the Eurovision season is being released by Luan of France. at the Six Nations of France versus Scotland at half-time. I still love the idea of her singing in a big stadium with a bunch of drunk Scottish rugby fans. That will never not be funny in my head. But we will be here to discuss it. And then that is it. We are done with the song reviews. They will all be out there. And then we look forward to all the pre-parties and the Easy Fan TV Awards and all our wild predictions being horribly wrong, which we'll then dissect after the final. I mean, Michelle, you said about 3 songs are coming 7th, so there's some are going to be wrong.
True.
And I said Denmark will win, so I've given them a kiss of death. Watch them not even make the final now. And Tom hasn't said anything yet, so he's been careful.
I know. Always keep my predictions a closely guarded secret. They'll come out in time.
Yeah, nothing a pint of gin can't get out of you, I'm sure.
Yay, pints of gin.
Oh dear, that's my Amsterdam trip ruined because I know I'm going to be drinking gin.
It's my birthday, Tom.
3 weeks.
3 weeks today.
3 weeks
we'll be
today.
There.
Right.
But that is yes. Thank you everyone for joining us in this very quick rendition of Malta's revamp. As they join us tomorrow evening for the last song of the season, which is France. And until then, have a good one, stay safe and enjoy yourselves. And we will talk to you about Luan tomorrow. Bye for now.